Hello Virgo, and welcome to your in-depth forecast for February 2023 for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you the standout features to look out for, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail all the key influences particularly relevant to your sign. Now, of course, Mercury is your ruler, and I have to say it's going to be moving through 2 signs this month. But before it says au revoir to the sign of Capricorn, which is your sister Earth sign, it is in a tight conjunction with Pluto from the 8th through to the 12th. That's going to be very interesting and could see a key conversation occur for your month. Of course, we have a full moon on the 5th, and it's quite a psychological one, but it also is just needing you to be aware of not overdoing it when it comes to the amount of energy that you're investing in different interests or perhaps demands. But on the 18th, I think that is a really important day. The Sun moves into your opposite sign of relationships. But also on the 20th, the new moon. This is going to give you a lot of food for thought around your relationships, because it combines with strict Saturn just at the end of its journey in the sign of Aquarius, but close enough to be very influential. Now, on Valentine's Day, which is the 14th, there is a very business-like conjunction going on between the Sun and Saturn. I'll share that with you too. But it's a pleasure to have you with me. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for joining me. If you do subscribe, if you click or tap the bell notification symbol, every time I release a video, you will just get that alert, and that helps you to keep abreast of what I'm sharing. If you're returning to view, again, thank you so much for joining me. I've now had 29 million views, and every single view is really appreciated. However, if you've yet to order your year 2023 personal forecast, so you can rise above this zodiac broadcast, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can give you your forecast for the next year, and also your life roadmap in my special package of 30% off, which helps you to understand some of the deeper patterns that have come up for you, good and bad, and help you to become more intimate with how to deal with these and how to gain traction from working with your strengths more closely. Also, in my special package, you can get your zodiac forecast for the year, your Chinese and Indian forecast too. Please see the link beneath this video. So Virgo, your February 2023 forecast begins with the Sun in the 6th house, very much to do with your physicality and that natural practicality you've got and attention to detail really being enhanced in an incredibly positive way as he links with Mars. Now, Mars is in a very influential and assertive part of your situation. If you want to apply for a job or you're attending an interview, the first 2 days of this month give you a wonderful platform to shine, because Mars, of course, has been in your 10th house since the 20th of August last year, but was really conflicted by Neptune all through October, November and the first week of December, and Mars is retrograde from the 30th of October. So some of those big hopes you had in the last phase of last year really seem to slow down and maybe have felt quite frustrating. So I think there's a sense of traction being picked up, which is really exciting. But that full moon on the 5th is in the tender 12th house. And the Sun, of course, is in the practical 6th house. So that's very much to do with your physical well-being. The 12th house is much more to do with how you feel about things that we can all find a bit difficult to grapple with, some of our fears and anxieties or vulnerabilities. But interacting with both positions is the restless energies of Uranus. Now, Uranus was squaring, of course, with Saturn the last couple of years in a very abrasive and draining way, and that already left you feeling trapped in some situations, or in other situations just feeling overburdened with demands. The thing about this full moon, I feel, is that if something is still ongoing from that aspect between Saturn and Uranus, where you feel you're having to put duty before what you'd really like to do for yourself, I feel that this lunation will give you a chance in the following 2 weeks to really have some key discussions and think very carefully about how you could perhaps rebalance the output of energy, both in terms of your emotion, but also your physical input, in a way which is better for you. And the reason for that is from the 8th through to the 12th, Mercury, your ruler, connects with the deep and thoughtful energies of Pluto. So if you do need to talk about something, but particularly your talents, your creativity, your individuality, you could have a really important conversation. And then once on the 11th Mercury moves into Aquarius, although its journey through the sign of Capricorn is more playful, once it gets into the 6th house, it's really echoing your core essence, which is being very efficient, which is looking for tangible results, which is liking to help other people. But it can bring clarity. On Valentine's Day, however, the Sun combines with Saturn. So if you're in one of those kind of relationships where each of the partners are very good at sharing different elements of the domestic load, that actually could be something that you really can have a good laugh about and think, you know, we're really lucky because we support each other. You do the hoovering, I do the washing, you do the fires, and so forth and so on. If you're in one of those relationships, however, where there is a little bit of criticalness that creeps in from time to time, not necessarily from you, it could be from the other person, or it always feels that every small issue requires an arm wrestle, it could turn out to be a little bit of a cheerful Valentine's Day, to be honest. And in week 3, you're really wanting to get things going in terms of perhaps your fitness, your diet. If you're doing a job that you're not really enjoying, I think your determination to do something about it is going to be strong, but you won't necessarily have a lot of energy. So you need to apply what you've got, because remember, Saturn can be very cold, limiting on the Sun. So what you have got needs to be applied in a very precise way. But on the 18th, glorious, the Sun moves into your opposite sign. And when it comes to relationship matters, because the Moon is conjoining with Pluto in your 5th house of romance, that actually could be a point that even if Valentine's Day itself was a bit somber, you can actually get back on the same page and feel better. And it may not just be in a romantic context, it could be with a friend, a family member, a colleague. But on the 20th, Venus moves out of the glorious 7th house, which has been in some ways seeing you resist talking about some more challenging elements of your relationship. But as it moves into Aries, where of course technically it's detrimented, this actually could coincide with some kind of good news around a financial matter. Maybe it's a premium you've paid in and you realise that actually it's been reduced. Rare, I know that any cost is going down at the moment. Or perhaps someone close to you is going to have some good fortune and share it with you. Or in a more romantic context, Venus moving into the 8th house can certainly spark the more passionate and sensual intimacy that is important in many relationships. But also on the 20th, the new moon in your sector of relating is close to Saturn, even though it's just in its last phase of its journey through Aquarius before moving into your sector of relating on the 7th of March. So even if something doesn't manifest itself this month clearly for you around a relationship matter, Saturn's going to ask you to take relationships a lot more seriously over the next 2.5 years from the 7th of March. But you get a taster of it on this new moon. So if you're single, someone could come into your world, but it's likely to be someone who is going to be a serious player. If it's someone who isn't wanting an ongoing relationship and you have a little bit of a clinch and more, you could end up feeling a bit hurt and rejected if they don't actually then make themselves available. Just be aware of that. But you know, in the last week of this month, Venus forges a quite stunning semi-sextile to the position of the Sun. So even though it's in the 8th house, the Sun's in the 7th, I think this can be terrific for a relationship matter if you're lucky enough to have that tie where someone wants to work as hard as you tend to work at relationships. But on the 27th and the 28th, as the curtain comes down, the celestial shutter on this month, Venus is combining with Jupiter. The two planets of fortune, the lesser and greater benefics, come together in your 8th house. Do you know, it really could be a stroke of fortune is going to come your way, but it may be a legacy that you've worked for. The 8th house can be a culmination of where you started something around a financial matter when the energy was in house 2. Obviously for you that's Libran energy, but there could be something that culminates now. Perhaps you started it on the Libran new moon last year, a new savings plan. Perhaps you've been speculating a little bit if you can afford to do that. Perhaps it's to do with property. I know a lot of core costs have gone up, but if anyone can turn a profit as this month draws to a close, it's going to be you. So if you are an entrepreneurial person, or you do want to steamy clinch with the right person, the end of this month can be really quite joyous for you. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Virgo. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care, good luck, and goodbye.